in a golf cart, the wise 12-year-old beauty can be heard expressing the importance of living an authentic life by embracing who you are. Dad Wade shared with Ellen that when your child comes home, and I quote, when your child comes home with anything, it's our job as parents to listen to that, to give them the best information that we can, the best feedback we can. And that doesn't change because sexuality is now involved. And I have to can we just give it up to Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union? Let's just give it up. Because listen, I think that one of the things that I celebrate on this show is mindfulness and consciousness. And part of that is seeing the human evolution and of consciousness and how we deal with sexual orientation, and how we deal with sexuality, and how we deal with a lot of the schisms that seem to plague our society. And ultimately, I think that it is up to each individual, because that's the thing. When you are met at the pearly gates, let's just say, right? You're not going to have to answer for me. I am only going to have to answer for. Oh, we had a little technical difficulty there, honey. I'm so sorry. But that's how it go when you dealing with the man-made machines, okay? But we were talking about, okay, so you took a little snack break, okay? You took a little blunt and booze break. Now, we were talking about Dwayne Wade and his embracing this week of his daughter Zaya transitioning. And we talked about how Dwayne Wade said that it is imperative as a parent to support his daughter's transitioning, regardless of sexuality becoming part of that. And I just want to give a shout out to Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union for really setting the bar high in terms of, what it looks like to truly love your children, especially in the face of, wide adversity and opinion. I saw a lot of people, including Wendy Williams this week, go up and applaud Dwayne Wade and applaud the way that he is cultivating his relationship with his daughter, and really encouraging her to live her most authentic life. And I think it's beautiful to see that embodied to us. One of the things that can't get lost on us in our mindfulness journey is that the importance of seeing yourself immortalized and seeing your struggles immortalized, because it gets to let you know, you're not alone. You know what I mean? There are probably millions of children who looked at this week, and parents who looked at Dwayne Wade, who for all intents and purposes is a hyper masculine Black man who comes from the world of sports, who has had his own issues, which we'll get into in terms of just some things that may play into some of the stereotyping when it comes to Black men, and how they deal with issues of sexuality and what have you. And so to see him say, I don't have all the answers as it pertains to my daughter transitioning, but what I will do is look for support, because I love my children. And it is not for me to really say what I think that my children should be doing. What my job is as a parent is to love and support my children. So I just thought that was great. We saw a lot of people go up for Zaya this week, including Wendy Williams, who she ran into a little snafu this week, but we'll get into that in a minute. So later in the week, Dwayne Wade also talked about his break baby with and I know that it sounds so tacky to say like, oh, this kid is just a break baby. But if you recall, back in, I think, like 2012, 2013, when Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union were on a break from dating, he actually fathered a child outside of their relationship. Now, while he was on this hiatus from his relationship with Gabby Union. And this was back in 2013. Now, this information was revealed this week, and this came back up about the Break Baby because Dwayne Wade is set to premiere a new documentary on ESPN about his life and about his career in professional basketball. He talked about the anxiety of having to tell Gabby about the now 6-year-old son that he has and fathered with someone that he calls a longtime friend. He said that when you know you have info like that, info that is going to fuck somebody's life up per se, if you don't hurt, if it doesn't give you anxiety about having to deliver this information, you are not human. Now, Wade and Union went on to marry 1 year later in 2014 and have since had a daughter together, Kavia James, who is a beacon of light on social media, which honestly, Kavia, Lil Junie, Iman and Tiana's baby, Zuri, LeBron and Savannah's little girl. I enjoy following these kids on social media. But I want to ask you guys, is it weird for adults to follow kids on social media? Is that weird? And when I say kids, I don't mean like, okay, so I am a woman of a certain age and I follow Yara Shahidi. I don't mean like that. I mean like I follow Kavia James. Is that weird? I follow her. I follow Quay Quay, which is young Olympia's baby child daughter doll. And I follow Olympia Ohanian, which is Serena Williams' daughter. These are all little kids that I follow that have a really huge social media presence. And I think that, obviously these kids aren't the one getting on their phones and posting pictures. I'm sure their parents or social media handlers are the ones that are actually doing the posting. But is it weird for adults to be following babies on social media? I don't find it weird. I follow them. I think it's cute. But what I don't know. But we were talking about Wendy Williams. So Wendy Williams found herself immersed in the hot tea that she enjoys spilling so much. On an episode of her talk show this week, she discussed Valentine's Day and cited gay men who planned on celebrating the holiday, saying that it was a women's only gay fete. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, February 13th has now officially been coined Valentine's Day. So it is the day before Valentine's Day where you hang out with your girls. And if you guys promise to be single the next day, or maybe you're taken, but you just want to spend some real heart time with your girlfriends, they say February 13th is it. And they have officially coined it Valentine's Day. Well, Wendy went on to say that I don't care if you're gay. You don't get a menstruation every 28 days. You can do a lot that we do, but I get offended by the idea that we go through something that you never will. She punctuated it with, stop wearing our skirts and heels, saying women can't have anything for themselves. Now, this led to some backlash, of course. And you guys tried to publicly bring Wendy to the town square and flog her for her opinion. So here's what I'm bringing to you guys from a sense of consciousness. Now, I know that we want everybody to be tolerant and we want everybody to be accepting, but are we getting to the point that we are now pushing people into quote unquote consciousness? I think that we are. I think that we're trying to force people into consciousness. And I think that that has got to stop, because then what you're getting is, and I don't want to call Wendy's apology inauthentic, but you can see in her apology, she's wearing a robe. She was videoed by one of her staff, Robert Ector. And in the video, Wendy is seen kind of giving a little bit of a sniffle and saying that she's been an ally to the LGBTQIA community for quite some time, and that, when she watched back the show, she realized how insensitive her comment may have been. Now, for me, somebody who has been a Wendy fan since I was probably about 10 years old, I can tell you that this is not the first time that I've heard Wendy kind of utter sentiments about that could seem homophobic adjacent or transphobic adjacent. I've definitely heard Wendy utter kind of the same thought about, men who choose to wear women's clothes. And just because a man chooses to wear women's clothes, that also doesn't mean that he is necessarily homosexual. So that's number one. And it also doesn't necessarily even mean that he is a cross-dresser or transgender. There could be a myriad of reasons for why a man would want to wear women's clothing. I mean, we don't have to get deep into that, but I'm just saying the fact that I have watched her show and have heard her on different occasions kind of utter in the idea that men should just be men and let women be women and do their stereotypical women thing. And then to see her give this, everybody knows the apology tour. You know what I mean? Everybody knows it. Everybody has seen it from these celebrities more than once. The apology drop mixtape, the apology video, the apology tour, where you go to every morning show and you do that thing, or you know what I mean? I feel like I'm so sick of it. I'm not sick of needing mercy, because sometimes you are sorry, and sometimes when you are unable to put space between the first thing that comes to your mind and your mouth, you oftentimes say things that perhaps given a different light, had you had a moment to be less impulsive and more conscious about the moment, you probably wouldn't have said it. But because Wendy has uttered ideas like this more than once, it made me question her apology. Now, I am a huge Wendy Williams fan, and I probably will always be, but I don't necessarily know that us pushing people into apologies is a way for us to really teach understanding when it comes to the issues of the schisms that we have in the world, whether it be racism or whatever it is. So in my mind, I think that we have to stop, and this is just my opinion, I think we have to stop pushing people into feeling like they need to do the apology thing. I think that we can use those moments as teachable moments and say, you know what? I understand that perhaps as a woman of a certain age, you may feel like women are now getting lost in the sauce of we don't really have anything for ourselves. You know what I mean? But if you are a woman, what another woman does, regardless of her sexual or gender orientation, what another woman does shouldn't bother you. Because it doesn't impede on you being more of a woman or less of a woman, and what that takes is singular in its thought, meaning I can only say for me what it takes to be a woman. For me, I don't know what it takes for you to be a woman. I have no idea. Nor the fuck do I care. I'm still busy trying to figure my shit out. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm really sick of the apology tours, of the apology drop mixtapes, of the apology Twitter drops. I'm tired of it. I get that people need grace and mercy, and I'm not out here trying to cancel anybody. What I'm saying is we have to get to a place where we allow for better teaching to exist and not to sweep the issues under the rug just by saying, oh yeah, someone's going to say sorry and then we'll forgive them. And then they'll still be thinking that they still will feel the same way they feel, but they'll get to keep all their sponsorships. You know what I mean? I don't know. So All-Star Weekend is popping off in Chicago, and it turns out that ain't the only thing popping off. Jussie Smollett, otherwise known as Jussie Smollett, has been indicted by the special prosecutor in Chicago over the alleged racist and anti-gay attack on him back from January 2019. Now, Jussie's story caused some visible tension this week on the daytime talk show, The Real, between new host Amanda Seales and existing host Jeannie Mai. Now, Jeannie Mai felt like